My name is Hannes from Heidelberg, Gauteng. And I'm going to talk about an olive that's not from Heidelberg, but from Natal. And I'm going to quickly do an introduction, history about the tree, where it came from, what my plan is to do. And then I'm going to start taking out what I don't need. There's a lot of foliage here that I'm going to take out. I don't like to wire and then cut it off anyway. So I'm going to take away what I don't need. And then I'll give it over to Vian. And then Vian will give it over to Scott. So we're going to take turns. We're going to play musical chairs today. No. No, local is lekker. He's got his own tree, he's got his own tree. So we're gonna take turns. So this tree was collected. I'm sure you heard the name Meander this weekend quite a few times. Well, this tree came from Meander in the Midlands of KwaZulu-Natal. And if you go up north, where I stay, and you look for olives, and you like telephone poles, I can take you there. There are plenty of them. The olives in the Free State are actually a bit better. They've got a bit of movement. But something spectacular happens in this place, in Meander, that you don't find anywhere else. And there are little bonsai masters walking around there, hundreds of them. They call them a boerbok, a goat. And they prune these trees for hundreds of years. And like Jennifer yesterday talked about the homework, they've done all the homework for me. And because olive is an evergreen tree, and Meander gets very dry in winter, the goats can eat the whole year round. And what happens there is the olives don't make it to a big tree. Here and there, you'll find one that made it. That you actually can go stand underneath an olive tree, a magnificent tree. The rest of them are all that height. So the goats and the weather, we call it the bad lands. It's harsh lands where these trees grow. It's actually a miracle that they can stay alive for so long. And that shaped the tree in ways that we can't do that. There's deadwood on this tree that no artist, doesn't matter how good you are, you cannot do that. It took me 8 years till today to actually start styling it. It is so special, you need to take your time on it. This particular one actually had another cascading branch that side that made it even more difficult. What do you choose? What do you take off? What do you keep? The cascading branch was the better one of the two. I could have chosen this one as well. That one was better. And then you can see more scars where I've taken off branches during the last 8 years. And I've done carving on them. And it's actually been aged quite nicely to look like the rest of the tree, but not there yet. And today I'm going to style it. The first time this tree will see bonsai wire is today. And it's quite exciting because today, not today, but this time 9 years ago, I stood here for the first time, also with the olive. And I still have that tree. It's beautiful, with Tony Tickle. So it's a privilege to be here. So I'm going to start taking away branches I don't need. Then I might call my buddy Brett to come help me wire. And then for now, I'm going to give the floor over to Vian. Thank you, Vian. It sounds like I'm at the dentist. It takes away my mind from the wiring. I'm about halfway through with wiring. This was quite quick, 1.5 mil wires. I might move up to a bit thicker here. I don't know if you saw that a raffia, put raffia on 2 branches. This one here, and then there's one here. It's not that they are thick, it's just they are old. And I need to bend them a little bit. I don't want to break them. So there's only 2 raffias that I did. The rest is quite straightforward. Okay, I'm done with all the wiring. So I can actually start setting the branches where I need them to be. But before I do that, I actually want to ask you a question. Don't you think this tree is over-potted? The pot is too big for the tree. Who agrees with me? All of you. And I actually thought that a local tree must have a local pot. So luckily I know a potter. But this comes with a catch. I don't know that you will fit. I don't have a plan B. I made this pot a couple of months ago for that tree. So the tree came in my studio with me for 2 weeks while I made this pot. But you always have that 20% shrinkage on clay. About 10% in the drying process and then another 10% in the kiln. And I always take pictures of my yamadori when I take them out, so that I can know in the future what's going on in the soil, how big the roots are, how long they are, and it will make a decision to choose a pot easier. But for some reason I couldn't find these pictures, they're gone. So I don't know what's going on in there. And I don't want to cut too much either. So if it doesn't fit in here, it will go back into that pot. But it will go back into a better growing medium as well. So I'm going to ask somebody to come help me to get this out of the pot. And we can see if it will fit or not. The tree was over-potted in that pot. And then I made the spot for this tree. And I made quite a weird pot, but there's a reason behind my madness. But I think a local tree should be in a local pot. But I didn't make a backup. So if the tree didn't fit, I didn't think it would fit. I really doubted myself in this case. So it could have gone back in the old pot. But I only took off one root, and it's in. So now it's going into a mix of leca akadama pumice, 40% pumice, 40 leca, 20 akadama. Because it's quite a deep pot, with less akadama, less water. And then I will actually set the branches. I wanted to get it in the pot first, before I actually set the branches. Thank you. Thank you. One of a kind. And it is fired to 1,200 degrees in a wood kiln that I also built myself. Thank you. The nice thing about using this is that you can feed when needed. When you grow organic, say compost or any organic matter, it's a process. It's a breaking down, feeding process. So you need microbes in the soil. So you don't feed your plant, you feed your microbes. And the microbes break down the organic matter, and the microbes' poop goes to the plant. So it's a full circle. When you do inorganic matter like this, there's nothing in there. There's some minerals in there as well, because it's a natural stone. But there's no fertilizer, no NPK, which means you can almost play a bit of God. You can feed them exactly when you want them to get food. But it's more intensive, especially if you have a lot of cheese. And you can work out which each one of them needs food. And the size of the pot also matters. So the bigger the container that holds your matter, the more of the fertilizer will stay behind until the next time you feed. So, but it is easier, because you can't overfeed, and you don't have fertilizer when you don't need fertilizer. It actually works out cheaper in the long run, but the mix is expensive. But you can reuse this. I wash it out. The akadama will break down after a couple of years. Pumice and leca will never break down. You can keep on reusing that. So this is a new thing for me, actually. I started with my olives and my buttlias 2 years ago, because I really had problems with butt rot. And I just came to the conclusion that compost doesn't go with a buttlia or an olive. And the reason for that is we tend to pot our cheese in too big containers. And the surface might be dry. And you come home after work with your beer in your hand and you water your tree. The bottom stays wet. You don't know about that. And that compost becomes a tea. And it becomes too rich, and it burns your roots. And what happened to the dead root? It's froth. And when it starts rotting, your tree goes brown. So, but the tree is wet, but it looks like it's not getting water, because it can't get water, because the roots are dead. This is so much better, because you can stand with the hose pipe the whole day. The water runs out the bottom. You cannot overwater. And you can feed precisely when you want to. So for me, it makes sense. Not everybody probably can afford this. I wish I could do my whole bonsai garden with this, but I can't. It is just unaffordable. But for olive and for buttlia, where I live, it's the best thing I could have done. Does that answer your question?
Leca's a good substitute.
Yeah. Yeah, leca is the cheaper of the three, because it's local. It's locally baked. It's a clay that's baked, high temperature, so it makes like a Rice Krispie almost. It's porous. You can even use perlite. The only downside with perlite is it floats. So get your perlite underneath a layer of gravel, so that when you water your tree, you don't see all the white perlite coming up. It looks terrible. But perlite is a good substitute for pumice. And akadama is also a good substitute for that. But not akadama, leca. But akadama is a medium on its own. It's a clay, a natural clay from Japan. And it's got minerals in. How many different minerals? Like 40 different minerals. That is very good for the tree.
It's also got hollow tubes.
Yeah.
So the roots go in and they get in there and then they break down and they multiply.